Hey everybody, what's going on? So, as we all know, Black Myth Wukong has just came out a few days ago. I haven't had much time to sit down and actually play the game, but I have definitely looked at it pretty close up. Um, so graphically, it looks pretty good. I think as far as new technologies that are being implemented are concerned, I think the ray tracing, the shadows, global illumination, particle effects, and all that look pretty cool. Um, when I first booted the game up, I was actually at home in my studio and playing on a G9 OLED. So the image quality looks a lot better on an OLED, as some of you may know if you've got to experience that. Um, but the reason why I'm actually talking about this is because I spend half my week in a different town. So what I have at the place where I'm at right now currently is the 1080p monitor. It's a high refresh rate 1080p monitor, but still 1080p, no HDR, no local dimming, nothing like that. And so when I first booted the game up to just play a little bit yesterday, I noticed how over sharpened and just I don't know, just shimmery, artifacty, just doesn't look that great. And I think we're going to take a closer look at it. So let's look at the settings and so you guys can see what I'm doing. So it is a 1920 by 1080p display. I'm not using VSync. I do have motion blur on strong. Running 100% resolution. So this sort of overrides DLSS. So if I was to lower this to say 70, I think 75 is the cutoff for the quality mode DLSS. Lower than that, you'll see it's in the balanced, which is running at a lower internal resolution, performance, and then down at the very bottom at 33% is ultra performance mode. So that's the lowest internal resolution that DLSS will work with to upscale it to your native or your monitor's native display. So I'm gonna keep on frame generation. I'm gonna keep ray tracing on, and I'm gonna keep full ray tracing level to very high, and everything else is gonna be set to very high. So the only thing you can go higher with is cinematic on all these, and I don't know if it makes much of a difference. So I'm just gonna keep it to very high. So I'm gonna back out. I'm gonna go back and continue the journey, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let me get some metrics up so we can see what kind of frames we're getting. So my system is the Ryzen 9 7950X 3D. I am also running an RTX 4090, slightly overclocked, and 32 gigabytes of DDR5 6000 CL30. Okay, so we're in the game, and this might not come through as well through recording, but you can still see how grainy and artifacty everything sort of looks, especially when you move around any kind of motion. And it's 110 frames per second that I'm looking at, so it should be pretty smooth. It should be buttery smooth at 108, 110 frames per second. If you look at any other game, when things move around, there's just not that weird, almost a haloing effect on all outlines. And I don't have any type of processing on. I don't even have NVIDIA, any of the NVIDIA app stuff. I don't have any filters on, nothing. This is just what the game looks like. And it just looks bad compared to like the 1440p version and higher. I've seen the game, at least the benchmark tool in 4K, and it doesn't seem to have the same problem. So for those of you who are playing on a 1080p screen or display and you think the game looks pretty rough, I tend to agree with you. So we're gonna run around a little bit and just take a peek at a couple things. So one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run to this little post here, and I'm gonna get into the light, and I'm gonna try to get up close. But look at the hair on the monkey's face, and it's like you can't really even, you can just see a bunch, it looks like just random dots and lines, and as you get closer the detail sort of stands out a little more. But when you move around you see the weird like fuzziness and graininess around the hair and around almost the outline around all the surfaces, like his shirt. There's literally like a staticky, grainy outline around everything. Same thing with environmental things, like this little statue here. You can see it as you move around. Now, when you stop moving, you don't see it as much, and so it just appears to be something that happens in motion. So I'm not sure if maybe there's some sort of other underlying like processing going on that's not being reported, or that you can't turn off in the settings. There might just be some kind of native process going on, some kind of scaling going on here, and I don't know what the reasoning behind that would be, other than maybe developers thought it was too soft. So you can see typically you can get anywhere from 100 to like 120 frames just running around these initial woods here. This is somewhat early in the game, but I mean, when you look around, like this should look way more impressive than what it does. I think people with the 1080p display are kind of getting thrown under the bus here a little bit. So what we're going to do is, again, just slowly pan around right here so we have something to reference when we come back in later. But this doesn't look like a brand new AAA game as far as optimizing goes. I can't really agree with this, the way that this looks. So what we can do is actually exit out of the game, and I'm going to go with the desktop. And I'm going to go to the NVIDIA control panel. And what we can do is go to Manage 3D Settings. We're going to find DSR factors. And I'm going to choose Deep Learning Scaling. So this is a DLDSR. So basically what this does is it takes your monitor's native resolution and scales it up to 2.25 times. So basically your monitor is going to appear to be outputting at a higher resolution than what it actually does natively. And what that does is it introduces smoothing, and it introduces like injecting of artificial pixels to make your the visual quality of your games improve at the cost of some performance. But in the past, with like 10 series GPUs, you could use the legacy scaling, which did it all. I believe brute force, like it had to do it all, like using a lot more graphical power, and now it can do it using deep learning. So it's a lot more efficient, so you don't lose as much performance when you do this. So I'm going to choose the 2.25, which is the most I can do, and leave it DSR smoothness. I'm going to leave that to 33%. I'm going to hit apply. And then after that, you have to go into change resolution and you have to select your resolution. So when you select the resolution you just created, you can hit apply. And now your image will get smaller because essentially what you did was you turned your monitor into a monitor that has the resolution of 2880 by 1620. So everything's going to get smaller, and you can go back into Windows and scale this up if you'd like. But I'm just going to leave it the way it is for now. Okay, now we're back in the game. It's going to load in. Here we go. Just check the settings really quick. Display. So we are now set to 2880 by 1620, no frame rate cap, VSync off, and 100% resolution scale. Everything set to very high. So let's go back into the game and have a look at what it did to the image quality. All right, here we are. And yeah, frame rate has definitely gone down, but we are running at a much higher resolution, or higher perceived resolution, and outputting way more pixels here. But as you can look at just some of these leaves right here, they look way nicer. I wonder if we can go into like photo mode and get closer to things. But look at the edges of these leaves. A lot more just natural looking. The shimmering and artifacting has gone down quite considerably. Let's have a look at. There's the fuzz bucket right here. Fuzz bucket. I know this is a still image in photo mode, but let's just back out and get a closer look. So I stood here in the standard 1080p image, and it was just a blurry, shimmering, artifacting, over-sharpened mess. And now it is markedly improved. Like, it's just so much better. It just looks great on the screen now. Something that I would enjoy playing. And I'm not like a snob for graphics, but when a game playthrough is just so distracting because of how much worse it looks compared to what I played when I initially booted the game, it becomes a huge problem. So if you have a 30 series or a 40 series GPU and can use DLDSR to upscale higher than what your monitor's 1080p monitors refresh, or 1080p's native resolution, I really suggest that you do that. And also, I'm also gonna mess around with this when I get back to the house and on my 1440p screen, and I'm going to see if I can get a similar result trying to upscale that. I do have the headroom running the 4090 in the system, so, but yeah, everything just looks a lot clearer. Obviously, because it's pushing out a higher resolution, but not only that, it cleaned up a lot of the aliasing. It cleaned up a lot of the weird jagginess and that weird halo that was around the character in movement, which I don't know where that comes from. So if someone can explain that to me, I'd be interested to listen. If you can explain to me what was going on with this standard 1080p image. But as I move around here, even faster. Definitely can still see some of that, the weird aliasing and shimmering around the character, but it's not as noticeable. And with everything else just looking so much better, I would forgive that a lot more. So stand by this thing so we can. Yeah, even the statues, everything just looks better. So I'm pretty happy with this. We did lose about, 40 to 50 frames in doing this, but it's still playable. Now, what you can do if you want to get a higher frame rate is, even with this DLDSR running at 2880 by 1620, you can still go in your settings. You can go to your graphics settings. You can actually put this back down to 75 quality, and it's going to attempt to recreate that image we just saw, but at 75% scaling, and try to upscale that again. So on top of what we already did. So let's take a look and see how much performance we gained from that. Go back in. And so yeah, we're back up to about what we were getting. 100 frames, 95, 90. I don't notice loss in image quality. And we're just getting that performance back. We gotta watch out for that guy. He's killed me like 12 times. And I don't want to just get bodied on camera right now, so. Oh, I can fight this guy though, I think. There you go. Sit. Anyway. Yeah. So, DLDSR, I think it's a must right now, with 33% smoothness and DLSS at quality mode. I think makes up a way better image than what you can get with just native 1080p. And hopefully there's some patches that come out that kind of addresses the shimmering and over sharpening and some more optimizations in the future. But until then, I think this is a nice fix. If you would like to see me do this with the 1440p image when I get back home, just let me know in the comments. If this guide helped you out at all and was worthy of it, please drop a like and a subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.